Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with another knitting podcast, which I'm super excited about because it feels like it has been a very long time. Today, I don't even know what day it is, so let me check. Today is January the 5th on a Friday, and I'm intending to post every Friday this year, and that's going to be every other Friday a knitting podcast. So last year I did it every month and I felt like that was not enough. Because I do knit quite a bit, and I think if I do it every other week, I'm able to show and share the process a little bit more than if I do it every month. And also a month is quite a long time and a lot of things happen in a month, honestly. So I think this is going to be a very nice change. I'm super excited about it, to see where it will take me and to grow my channel and, you know, share this connection and love for knitting with more people, which just brings me a lot of joy. So also thank you for all of the sweet comments that I got on my last video. I got an overwhelming amount of comments that were super sweet and positive. So thanks a lot for that. And that's all I have to say, and we can get started with this video. I have 3 works in progress today, which is not a lot. Then sadly 2 projects that are going to be frocked, so I will share those as well before I frock them. And then I have 1 finished object. The first finished object that I have, or well, the only finished object that I have, is now called the Hermione Hat, named after Hermione from Harry Potter, of course. I shared this one in my last video, which is where I showed everything that I knit last year. And so this is the first sample. And this is not then my finished object, but I'm just showing you how the first sample looked. And some changes have been made. So for example, there was one mistake, of course, which is quite obvious, that here there's more distance than there is here. So that was just a stupid little mistake that I made. And then here is sample number 2, which honestly just looks amazing which I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think it looks amazing and I'm super happy with this design. I fully stand behind it, so to speak. This hat is also super exciting for me because it's going to have a lot of different variations and possibilities, which I think is something really important and also valuable to bring to a pattern. It's of course a lot more work than if I were to just say, this is the hat, one size fits all, let's go. Which is how honestly most hat patterns are, it seems. But I want to do it differently. So I'm offering 2 different versions. This is going to be version 1. And then version 2 is going to be different, or like an alteration of this one. And I think that's really nice because they are both quite different yet kind of the same. So there's, you know, possibilities to choose there. Then 4 different sizes for each of them, ranging from a child size to adult large, which will fit from I think a 43 centimeter circumference hat to a 62 centimeters. And then lastly, it's going to have 4 different brim options. So one that is not folded, then a single fold like this, then a double fold like this, and then another one is going to be a double layered. So it's not a fold, but it has 2 layers on the ears. And I think with all of those possibilities, you can definitely knit 2 hats from the same pattern, and also of course changing the material is going to change the hat a lot as well. So both of these hats are knit using 2 strands of fingering weight yarn held together with a lace weight mohair. One is very different from the other. This one is a lot less fluffy compared to this one. This is the Drops kit mohair, which is super duper fluffy, which sounds like a good thing, but I actually don't like it, but oh well. And then this is the cone that I have there. That doesn't have any silk in it and it's just a lot less fluffy, which I like. Then I'm also going to make a sample in probably a hand-dyed DK weight yarn. Then I also have some Mota from Wool Dreamers on the way. And that's a worsted weight yarn. Like I said, I'm going to knit many more of these. Also make a video tutorial. I'm doing quite a lot of work for a hat. So that is my first finished object. Sorry that was quite long, but now we can get into all of the works in progress. So I'm going to start with the work in progress that has been on my needles the longest. All of these works in progress you have never seen before, just so you know. My first work in progress is the Earth Pullover by Ozetta. This is a really nice pattern because it's knit in 2 strands of fingering weight yarn, which I like because I use Drops Flora, so it was a super duper affordable pattern in that sense. I got this during their Drops Alpaca party sale. I believe it was around 15 euros for my size. And I also believe I'm knitting the second to smallest size. So not the smallest size, but then the next one. Yeah. And here is how it's looking so far. If you have been here before, you know that this is a very different color than what I would usually knit. But I'm really trying to branch out my colors and not choose pink. It's just really difficult because when I look at yarn, the first thing that I'm drawn to is pink. And if I'm going to go with that first urge that I have, then I'm going to wear pink every single day and all of my sweaters are going to look the same. And I don't really want that. And also I like other colors too. So other colors deserve some love as well. So this is a really nice like matcha green color. Like I said, it's the Drops Flora. I will have all of the information as always in the description. But this is what it looks like. It's knit on 5mm needles, so it's a bit of a looser gauge, but that's also what I really like about it. It doesn't have any mohair in that sense that you would usually pair, I think, to reach a 5mm needle. And I was just thinking that this would be a really nice and comfortable sweater for me to work from at home, because I always work from home and a mohair sweater is not really the first thing that I gravitate towards whilst working at home. I really need things that are more practical and that I can sew in and do more those kind of things. The construction of this sweater is also very interesting. It has German short rows in the back, which are not looking the neatest at the moment. I definitely need to block this. Then I was really confused whilst knitting this because you were knitting the front longer than the back whilst doing the German short rows and knitting it flat as you would with any drop shoulder pattern. But usually you would knit it to the same length and then join in around. But in this pattern the front was longer than the back, which is why that shoulder line has moved to the back. Then also in my size there were a lot of stitches left after the German short rows, which has created kind of a funky shape. I did try this on and yeah, I'm not sure how it's going to be when it's finished, also because I haven't done a whole sleeve yet. But here you can actually already see when I'm holding it up. And I'm very curious to see how this is going to adjust the shape or if it's going to be better or worse. But honestly, she is a very experienced pattern designer, so I'm just going to trust her judgment and hope that it turns out well. The entire sweater has half twisted ribs, so you knit through the back loop, purl the rest, which I always really love. I think it's a very nice finishing. And there are also some double knitting in this color, which I've never done before. And I'm as of yet to see if that actually makes it better or not. But yeah, I just followed the pattern. I don't think I have really made any adjustments so far. The only thing that I'm doing different are the decreases on the sleeves, because I started them later, so I will have a little bit of a wider sleeve maybe. I'm not sure. I honestly just forgot to do them and I didn't want to rip back. But yeah, this is what I have so far. So I'm probably like halfway on the body, halfway on the sleeve, and then need to do that second sleeve. Then the next work in progress is honestly also a little bit boring. I think I was just really craving plain stockinette this month. And so I casted on a Sophie Shawl it is. I mostly started this project because I'm in a desperate need of a scarf. And I kind of refused to buy one. I looked online a little bit and of course none of them that are in my budget really have a nice like material composition. So I figured it would be best to just bite the bullet and knit one, even though scarves seem really boring to me, just knitting on and on and on. Just they're so freakishly long. But I will show you what I did. And this was over my holiday, so that's why I have quite a lot done. And I have not worked on it since. Also the yarn was for my collection, so that was also a bonus. But I have this so far. I'm knitting I have the stitch count of the largest size, but then the length right now is of the medium size. Which I'm fine with either, so we'll see how it is in the end. I think it's going to be 210 meters, or not meters, 210 centimeters long. And then because of the yarn amount that I have, I decided to split it in half. I have the rust color here and then a pink color here, which you may recognize because this is left over from my cardigan. So I'm knitting this in Drops Nepal. I had 4 balls of this in my collection that I didn't really have any plans for. And then I had 3.5 left over from my cardigan that I also didn't have any plans for. So I just decided to pair them together because I saw someone on Ravelry that did this scarf but then in 3 colors. And I thought that was a really fun idea, and maybe then it would also be a little bit less boring because it's just garter stitch. And even though it's a boring pattern and you're doing garter stitch, I still am able to forget what row I am on. You only have to repeat 6 rows with decreases or increases, depends on what side you are on. And then I still forget. So one little trick that I am doing is that I only count the right side rows, because then you have to count half of that, if that makes sense. That is really helpful in case you're also struggling with it. It's just that it's so plain that I just want to knit on and on and on and not think about it, but then you still have to think about it. Anyways, I think the end result is going to be really nice. Like when I put it around my neck, I can definitely think I can wear it like this and then tie it. And I think that's going to be perfect because I love a scarf that like suffocates me and that I can wrap around my neck multiple times. Just, yeah, I like that. So that is my next work in progress. I'm very eager to get this finished and off the needles. Also because I'm doing 2 projects right now on 5mm needles. And there are multiple designs that I want to cast on 5mm needles. Probably one of my own designs, maybe even 2 actually. And then I also still want to cast on the loom sweater by Sari Nordland, which I have the yarn ready for. But actually my next work in progress is also a color work pattern, so it is scratching the itch for color work. So I will show you that right now. My next work in progress is, like I said, something color work, and I think, did I even mention that I wanted to knit this? I don't think so. But it's the Celeste Sweater by Petite knit. I think I'm kind of late to the party. I think a lot of people are already knitting this or have knit this. But I don't really care. And I was not really drawn to this pattern because of the colors that were used in the pattern. Anyways, I will show you what I have done. It's not very exciting. I have only done about, well, 2 centimeters of the neckline. It has a taller neckline. I am currently undecided if I want to have it as a folded neckline or if I'm going to keep it as a longer neckline. In the pattern she does, I believe, a tubular or Italian cast on, which I believe is more stretchy. I chose to do a stretchy cast on that I usually use from a YouTube video. But then the pattern suggested or does 2 rows of double knitting, which then I did. And then I tried it over my head and it was just absolutely not stretchy at all. I don't know if other people had the same issue, but the double knitting I feel just doesn't have any stretch. Is double knitting supposed to have stretch? I don't know. So I decided to just not do that. So I did a long tail cast on and then just started doing the ribbing. And it's looking very small, but I've tried and it does fit over my head. Also, this ribbing is done on 3mm needles, and if you know me, you know that I really don't like doing ribbing. So it's honestly a little bit of a pain in the butt to do 8 centimeters of ribbing on 3cm needles, but I'm going to get through it and get to the color work. Now the yarn that I'm using is the new yarn from Drops, so it's called Daisy, and this is the marzipan color. I'm doing this one in a color work and then I'm using it for the neckband or the collar. So it's a 100% non-superwash merino wool and it's super duper soft. And then I'm doing a different color as my main color because I saw Hester and Lark, her knitting podcast, her latest I think. And she was knitting the Celeste sweater and I was also really inspired by her colors because she used pink and stuff like that. And she was doing the same. She was doing a cream around the neck and then a beige on the body. And I thought that was really smart because if you're pale skinned or light skinned, beige is not always the most flattering color, whilst this I think is better than this, if that makes sense. So this is going to be the neckline and then the body. Yeah? Can you envision that? Nice. And then the contrasting colors that I'm going to use 3 different ones. The first one that I picked up I got in store and I was just super drawn to this color. And it's Sandnes Garn Smart. This is a superwash yarn and I believe it's just 100% wool. And it's my first time using this yarn, so we'll see how I like it. Although I doubt that I will ever knit an entire sweater of this, just because I don't want a superwash sweater anymore. So this is the color palette so far. And now we're gonna add the typical Mipi or Famke colors. So the first one is this Drops Lima in a kind of burnt red color. I think it's very cute. Just to add some more contrast in there, this is color number 9021. And then here comes the pop of pink that I love. And lately I've been loving bright pink, so it's no surprise that I chose this one. And this is also the Drops Daisy in the color 22, which is actually one of my favorite numbers, 22 and 24. So this is a good one. How cute is that? I think this is going to be a great colorwork design. Just when you see them all together, I think they are all contrasting each other enough, whilst also pairing well with each other. For me, what really helps with colorwork or choosing the colors is to look at each color individually and see how they go together. So for example, if I'm thinking about adding this color to the colors that I've already chosen, then I will just look at all of them individually and think, does it go with this color? Does it go with that color? And that actually really helps, because sometimes I just choose the first colors that speak to me, but then I put them all together. Usually I take screenshots and then put them in like a digital file so I can really envision them all together. And then sometimes when you do this method, you will see that one doesn't match at all and you didn't notice it at first. So it's a very helpful colorwork technique, if it's even called a technique. So sadly, not a lot of work has gone into this yet, but I'm super eager to start knitting on this and to show you more in the next knitting podcast. Then lastly, I'm going to show you the two projects very briefly that I'm going to frog. And then after that I have a lot of yarn acquisitions for you, because it was my birthday in December the 24th. And I was given a lot of money by people. Not like a large amount of money, but the only thing I received for my birthday was money, if that makes sense. So of course I bought yarn. The first thing I'm going to frog is something that I also never showed in my knitting podcast. I only showed this in my Craftmas videos. And it's the Celeste Sweater by Sari Nordlund. I'm not frogging this because I made mistakes in it. I'm frogging it for multiple reasons. The first one, it's knit bottom up and I'm just not enjoying myself. And then when I look at it, it doesn't excite me. It's a lot of work and you have to pay a lot of attention to which row you're on, and the cables are very complicated. And then the result to me is just not worth it. And then the third reason is the material. So I'm knitting this in Drops Lima held together with the Drops brushed alpaca silk. And I just think the fabric is too dense because it is on 4.5mm needles. And then also the Drops brushed alpaca silk is too fluffy for my liking. So I really don't like the fabric. I will show you. And I already had my doubts about this fabric, but I kind of just kept pushing through because I was enjoying the pattern at the time. But I'm not happy with it. So it's going to be frogged. Then the second project that I'm going to frog is one of my designs. I did show this in my last knitting podcast. And whilst I'm super excited about my design motif, I think I'm not really happy with the fit and then also the way that I'm knitting it. I designed this color work to have rows with 3 colors, but this is actually really special yarn, all hand dyed, or almost, 2 skeins of hand dyed yarn. So I have to really think about what I'm going to do with it, because I don't want to waste this yarn. But this is what it looked like, and this was kind of like a quilted star design, and then with some little things like that. I don't know what that's called. And then I also had this little cable detail at the side, but it doesn't really look very good, and then I should have probably done a purl stitch next to it. I'm thinking of doing this design a little bit differently, so I think it will still become a vest. But I'm thinking that maybe I want to include steeking, but I've never steeked anything. Hopefully my next knitting podcast, this will have some answers. But like I said, I also have some other designs that I really want to knit. And now I'm going to get into all of the new yarn that I have in my collection that were all sponsored by my family and friends. So thanks a lot if you're watching and if you gave me something. But also if you didn't give me something, then I still like you and I still love you. I'm just going to grab everything first so you don't see me turning around like 40 times. Because there's a lot of it. The first yarn acquisition or purchase was all of the yarn for the Celeste Sweater. So that you have already seen. And then actually the Drops Flora was also new, but I got that probably 3 weeks ago or more. So it was before my birthday, just because I wanted to knit that sweater. And then I have a bunch of yarn on my lap right now and they are all in the same colors. So be prepared. First off, I'm going to show you all of the yarn that I got for socks because it's just briefly I'm going to mention them. I also was gifted the 52 Weeks of Socks book version or volume 1 by my boyfriend because I really want to knit more socks this year. I really have some outfits envisioned in my head that I want a pair of loafers or Mary Jane shoes. And then I want to pair them with lacy, beautiful hand knit socks and then probably some tights and a mini skirt or a midi skirt or just a nice pair of trousers. I have a vision in mind. But yeah, let me show you the yarns for the sock. So first off we have some Drops Fable. I picked this up just in a nice neutral color because I thought it would be very versatile and beautiful. Basically for any type of sock pattern. And all of the sock yarns, I just got 2 of them. Then next we have some Drop Snort in this beautiful caramel color because it's one of my favorites. Then another Drop Snort color in this beautiful also reddish color. Another one of Drop Snorts, guess it's my favorite, in this brown color. And I think all of these are going to be very pretty and they will really go well with all of the things that I have in my closet. As you can see, they are the typical color palette that you see on this channel. So they will be nice. Then the next yarn that I got was for the turtle dove shawl that I really want to knit this year. So I got 1 skein of durable socks in a beautiful cognac color. And you would think that this is the same as the Drop Snort, but let me show you. It's actually very different. This one is more yellow and this one is more orange. And then I'm going to pair that together with the Long Yarns Zen, which I've never used before, but I saw this in store and I thought the composition was very interesting because it's 35% wool merino superfine, 35% alpaca and then 30% silk. And I think this will be a really good alternative for people that don't like mohair. 25 grams is 200 meters. The price is also very reasonable. I believe this was €7. So paired together, the colors match pretty well. And I think it's going to be great. Then I got some more of that Long Yarn Zen color in this bubbly pink color, which is quite a different pink color for me. As you can see, I'm branching out again. And I'm pairing that together with Novita Natural Collection Merino 4-ply. And this was on sale at the store that I went to. And I was looking at this yarn for a while because I thought it was very interesting because it's just a fingering weight merino yarn. So it's similar to, let's say, Sandnes Garn Sunday and Knitting for Olive merino. But then for much more affordable basically. Because each one of these is usually €5 and then on sale they were 3. 50 grams is 230 meters. Then I also got the Novita Merino 4-ply in this beautiful dark brown color. And I think this color is also very versatile and I would definitely love to have more of this color in my closet. I think it's going to be either a cardigan or a sweater. And I have enough of this to hold it double. And then I also have a mohair to match it in my collection. So I could do a worsted weight or DK weight pattern, which is nice. And then the last one is a very nice, well, what is it? Burnt orange, or I'm not sure how you would describe this color, but it's just very pretty. I don't have any plans for this one yet, and I also don't have any mohair or something that I could pair with it. I just got it because I know I will use it, because it's so basic and versatile. And now I'm gonna show you, because I feel like you were thinking that all of these colors are the same, but I'm gonna show you that they're all different. This is the Novita, the durable socks, and then Drops North. And then even the Sandnes Garn Smart that I got is different. So as you can see, brown and orangey and burnt colors are having a moment in my yarn collection, purchases, knitting. I just love it, and this is then the second best to pink basically. And also I love cream, but cream doesn't have a lot of variations, or maybe it does. I don't know. All of the cream yarns that I see, they're usually quite similar, but this is very different. At least it is to me. And then lastly, I have one more cute purchase, and this was actually also a gift for my boyfriend, and it's a knitting journal, and it's very adorable. It says home is where the yarn is, and nothing is more relatable than that. Because honestly, when I leave home or I'm sleeping somewhere else, then I do miss my yarn. I just like looking at it, and I like to be near it. And I think this will be really nice because this year I really want to keep better track of all of my works in progress, or if I frogged something. I think it will also be really helpful because I make these videos and often I forget the modifications that I make or which needle I used. I also really want to start mentioning how much projects cost me, so what I spent on the yarn for a finished object. So I will show you the inside of a page because actually it's from Amazon and they only had a picture of the outside. And a lot of these knitting journals didn't show what they looked like from the inside, which I thought was very strange. So I will show you and be helpful. But you can pause the video and just a lot of useful information. The yarn, the weight, when you started it, when you completed it. Also, if you like to keep track of Ravelry, then this is basically a physical form of Ravelry. But I think it's more helpful because I prefer to probably fill up a bunch of pages and then put it in Ravelry. I'm not really good at keeping up with Ravelry. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I definitely did, and I had a lot of fun talking to the camera again and just showing all of my works in progress. Next week I'm going to do a video with all of my 2024 knitting plans. Maybe I will also share some goals of mine or intentions that I have set for the year. I definitely have not planned out everything, like what I'm going to knit each month, because things will always change, and especially with designing, inspiration just comes at random, and then sometimes that will move up to the priority list. So it doesn't really do anything to plan it month by month. But I definitely have a big list of patterns that I want to knit, and you probably have the same. So I think it will be fun to talk about it together. So I will hopefully see you in that video, and I wish you all a very nice day, happy knitting, and see you next time. Bye bye!